Tonight on KVR News, Catch an Illegal Immigrant, the controversial game catapulting the young conservatives into the national limelight.
Path of destruction, the death toll rises after tornadoes tear through the Midwest.
And a game of tradition, UT takes on the Aggies in the intramural showdown.
You're watching KVR News, Austin's leader for live, local UT coverage.
Broadcasting live from the Texas Student Television Studios at the University of Texas. You're watching KVR News at 9, Austin's leader for live local UT coverage. Your news starts right now.
Good evening. You're watching KVR News for Monday, November 18th. I'm Chelsea Pena.
And I'm Taylor Hampton. Thanks for tuning in tonight.
Controversy on campus tonight after the Young Conservatives of Texas announced plans for a Catch an Illegal Immigrant game.
The YCT game will take place on Wednesday and consist of students catching people labeled as illegal immigrants and then bringing them into immigration services. The prize for each captured immigrant is $25. Creator of the event, Lorenzo Garcia, says the purpose is to spark a campus-wide discussion about illegal immigration.
Many quickly opposed the event, calling it offensive, socially cruel, and inhumane. Students and community members rallied this afternoon to protest treatment of undocumented students on campus. Several counter events have also been planned for Wednesday, including a silent protest where students will tape their mouths and wear white with undocumented written on their shirts.
UT President Bill.
Every single day that they drop their child off to school or they want to go buy groceries for their family, they have to worry about getting pulled over and getting thrown into detention and then eventually being deported. That's not a game. These are human lives that we're dealing with.
UT President Bill Powers released a statement today saying the Young Conservatives of Texas event is completely out of line with the values we espouse at the University of Texas at Austin.
Vice President of the Division of Diversity and Community Engagement, Dr. Gregory Vincent, also responded, saying, "If the members of YCT carry out their plan for Catch an Illegal Immigrant, they are willingly ignoring the honor code and contributing to the degradation of our campus culture."
Meanwhile, student government says it aligns itself with President Powers and affirms its belief that YCT's immigration event does not reflect the values of UT.
The death toll from yesterday's tornado outbreak across the Midwest has reached 7. Many are still unaccounted for, and federal and state emergency officials are now beginning to assess the toll. Most of the damage took place in central Illinois, where nearly 400 homes were destroyed. The National Weather Service received 68 reports of tornadoes across Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, and Ohio. That number is, though, likely to fall because some reports were probably double sightings of the same tornado from different locations. Illinois Governor Pat Quinn declared state disaster areas in 7 counties, calling the tornadoes some of the deadliest we have ever had in November in Illinois history. Officials in the Philippines are still struggling to cope in the aftermath of Typhoon Haiyan. The official death toll now stands at more than 4,800. More than 1,000 remain missing. An estimated 3 million people have been displaced and even more affected by outbreaks of violence and looting. The World Bank today offered the country a $500 million emergency loan to help construct buildings able to withstand high winds and severe flooding. Meanwhile, aid has also been pouring in across the globe. The United States have mobilized approximately 50 ships and aircraft carriers in the disaster zone, as well as helicopters for dropping food and supplies to survivors. Haiyan was the strongest typhoon to make landfall in recorded history.
The Fisher versus University of Texas case is back in the Lone Star State. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is rehearing the case after it was sent back from the U.S. Supreme Court. Abigail Fisher's application to UT was not accepted back in 2008, and she claims it's because she is white. The defense in the case restated its claim that UT's admissions policy does adhere to the strict standards articulated by the Supreme Court. President Bill Powers released a statement regarding the hearing, saying UT has a compelling interest in achieving the educational benefits of the diverse student body. To achieve this aim, our holistic admissions policy is a tool that is necessary, that respects the rights of all of our students and is consistent with the U.S. Constitution. UT is also heading to court over an Andy Warhol portrait of the late actress Farrah Fawcett. The painting features an unsmiling Fawcett with painted red lips and green eyes, and it is an uncolored image. The case is to decide whether that painting should belong to Fawcett's longtime lover, Orion O'Neill, or if it should join its twin at UT's Blanton Museum of Art. According to evidence, Fawcett stated in her will that all the artwork should go to the school, but O'Neill insists it belongs to him because Warhol gave it to him, a copy of the portrait, as a gift. The case will resume on Wednesday when lawyers will argue what evidence will be admitted during the trial.
Texas's controversial voter ID law is also heading to trial. That law was enacted back in 2011 and requires voters to show a form of photo ID at the polls. Opponents of the law see it as an illegal barrier for minorities and residents in rural areas. U.S. District Judge Nelva Gonzalez-Ramos announced the case will be heard in September. That's just 2 months before the election for Texas governor.
Student government's Feed Texas food drive is still in full swing. The school-wide service project benefits the Capital Area Food Bank.
As a reminder, any non-perishable food items can be donated, but the primary needs this year are canned meats like tuna stew and chili, canned vegetables, pasta and pasta sauce, beans, and peanut butter.
You can donate cans at any of the drop-off locations around campus, including the SG office, the University Panhellenic Council houses, Gregory Gym, Chester Center, the 4th floor of the SSB, the north end zone of DKR, and the Tejas House.
The food drive continues until this Thursday when Orange Outreach will host an event to celebrate and wrap up the food drive.
Developing the next game console, how a UT program is helping students do just that.
And a recycling record, the drive to make the world's largest cardboard box fort. Stay tuned, you're watching KVR News.
You're watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
Welcome back to KVR News. Bike sharing will be available in Austin starting next month. Austin B-Cycle will launch with 11 stations and about 100 bikes. They'll be located throughout the downtown area and as far south as Congress. The company says bike sharing will help with the congestion Austin suffers daily in the urban core and will hopefully be an integrated part in the city's transportation network. Memberships for the bike will be starting at 7-day passes or an annual membership.
Sony's latest video console, the PlayStation 4, made more than $1 million in just 1 day after hitting the market. The consoles went on sale Friday. It's Sony's first new video game console in 7 years. The company is investigating reports of defective consoles, but is still expecting to sell 5 million units by the end of the fiscal year in March. Sony will also be facing competition from Microsoft. They're releasing the new Xbox One this week. And from the release of new consoles to the people behind their development, UT recently created the Capstone program. That's a program that allows students a chance to learn the ins and outs of the video game development courses taught on campus. The program was created last semester and strives to give students the opportunity to expose themselves to an industry that many consider just a hobby.
In spring 2013, UT designed a set of courses specific to video game development, with the goals of letting students dip their feet into the world of video game creations. Under the radio, television, film, computer science, and College of Fine Art departments, students are given the opportunity to learn about, create, and publish their very own games.
You're tasked with developing a game in Unity in a semester with a team of people from maybe like different careers.
Senior lecturer and video game development chair Paul Toprak heads the department and oversees the student progress weekly. He thinks that learning these skills will set students up for an industry that is on the rise.
My ultimate goal is to teach students 21st century skills so that they can succeed in their lives. And what better way to do that than through making a game in which they're excited to do?
Despite the growing industry, many students, like students in any other major, fear that landing a job in the gaming industry won't be as stable or demanded.
I mean, I think that like there's always going to be a need for programmers probably, and as more and more of like, I don't know, the full-on like American market is tech stuff, then I think that coders are going to always have a job.
Even with doubt, there is no denial that students love what they're doing and that gaming is so much more than a leisurely hobby.
UT environmentalists and volunteers took part of America Recycles Day on Friday, building a fort on campus using cardboard boxes. As Alex Wilkins reports, their goal, to build the world's largest university-made box fort.
The Campus Environmental Center and Office of Sustainability teamed up to break a world record on Friday for the largest fort made out of boxes. The purpose was to publicize UT's recent increase in recycling efforts, such as switching to single-stream recycling. Colin Rowland, Assistant Director of Students for a Sustainable Campus, said that even in Austin, recycling is still a major issue.
I know in such a green city like Austin, we think, it's everywhere, but there are still a lot of things that go in the trash that don't need to go in the trash.
The past record was held by Duke University using 3,500 boxes, and Emily Mixon, Student Director of the Campus Environmental Center, said with over 800 volunteers signing up to help, UT's attempt was more than successful.
We thought this was going to take us a lot longer based on what other universities have done. So we've not only set a record in boxes, we've set a record in how fast we got it built, and that's definitely in thanks to our volunteers.
Campus environmentalists and volunteers showed up at 6 a.m. to start putting together the fort and used over 3,900 boxes. Then when the fort was complete, the wind wasn't really willing to cooperate and started tearing down walls of boxes. Despite the wind's attempt to tear down the fort, volunteers helped rebuild it back to its original shape in the shape of a longhorn.
I didn't know it was a longhorn. It just looks like a bunch of boxes, but then when you go look at it, that's actually pretty cool.
I'm Alex Wilkins, and this wall's about to collapse on me. KVR News.
Well, the Longhorns haven't played Texas A&M since 2011, but the long-standing rivalry continued this weekend at the Lone Star Intramural Showdown. We were at the event and found there was more tradition than just the historic matchup.
I always dreamed about playing Texas on TV on Thanksgiving one day. It's kind of funny. We didn't picture it on intramurals.
Texas A&M senior Bailee Brown plays quarterback for the co-ed and men's championship intramural team from Texas A&M. His family drove from Denton, Texas to watch him play in the final game.
I know UT and A&M have been big rivals all his life, and it's always been a big deal to him, so it's a great deal for us.
UT student body president Horatio Villarreal says the intramural playoffs bring back memories of seeing burnt orange and maroon on the field Thanksgiving Day.
It's cliche, but I bleed orange. My family went to UT. I've got good friends who went to A&M, so the fact that we get to have this is really, really great.
He thinks the game is an awesome way to engage students in the rivalry.
A lot of people say that they wanted to participate just to play in this game. Some of my fraternity brothers, were looking forward. They didn't make it, but they wanted to play. That was the reason why they played intramural sports. They wanted to play A&M.
This is not the first time the intramural programs have met up to compete against each other. In 2005, 2006, and 2007, they competed in the backyard brawl, UT winning each of those matchups. The Thanksgiving game was also a family tradition for third-generation Aggie and Texas A&M student body president Reed Joseph.
Well, I don't believe that it'll ever fully substitute the real game, but I do believe that it could be a great way for the schools to continue to have the rivalry.
Texas won the first Lone Star Showdown, but the Aggies will have a chance to win the title in intramural basketball this spring.
A record 90 yesterday, down to the 80s today. How's the rest of the week looking? I'll have your forecast next.
Have a news tip or story idea? Call the KVR News Tip Line, 475-8181.
Welcome back to KVR News. I'm Nadine Bonewitz. Start saying goodbye to the nice weather we saw at the end of last week. Tomorrow is going to be the last day we'll see mostly sunny skies for a while. We reached 90 yesterday, 80 today, and the trend downward continues through the next couple of days. Have your umbrella handy starting Wednesday morning because we'll be waking up to cloudy skies with a 20% chance of rain, highs in the upper 70s and lows in the lower 60s. Thursday will be a little bit warmer, back to about 80 degrees. The chance of showers and thunderstorms increases to about 30% Thursday and up to 50% on Friday. We'll see another cold front move through Friday, dropping temperatures to only the low to mid 50s this weekend. We could potentially see some heavy rain Friday night with up to 1.5 inches possible. It's a good thing there's no game at DKR on Saturday because it looks like the rain chances are then going to stick around through the weekend. Live in the Weather Center, Nadine Bonewitz, KVR News.
Thanks, Nadine. Hopefully with that rain, we won't see any more flooding. College Press Box's Corey Schneider joins us after the break.
Now, KVR News at 9 Sports.
Welcome back to KVR News. I'm College Press Box Corey Schneider. The Circuit of the Americas welcomed more than 250,000 visitors to the track this weekend for the annual United States Grand Prix. The number of attendees at Sunday's big race was actually down about 4,000 over last year's F1 debut in Austin. More than 113,000 fans were in the stands this year to watch Sebastian Vettel take home his 8th consecutive victory. The Longhorns dropped their first Big 12 match of the season to Oklahoma State on Saturday. Let's take a look at the highlights. Top 25 matchup on Saturday as Mike Gundy's Cowboys visiting Mack Brown's Longhorns. First quarter, Clint Shelf scrambling 18 yards for the score. He would do that all day long. OSU up 7-0. Here's Clint Shelf trying to do it with his arm, and it would not work. He passes it to the wrong team. Mikael Thompson, his first career interception. OSU up 7-3. And Shelf realizes that his arm may not be his strength in this game, so he takes it with his legs to the left for the 4-yard score. OSU up 14-3 in the second. UT trying to come back a little bit. Malcolm Brown taking the ball in his own hands, going 7 yards up the gut for the TD, brings Texas within 4 late in the second. Clint Shelf again throws a pass to Tracy Moore on the right side for 6 points. OSU up 21-10 very late in the first half. Case McCoy trying to bring back Texas, and this would be the dagger here. Justin Gilbert intercepts it, returns it all the way for a 43-yard score. OSU up 28-10 going into halftime. But a little bit of a positive note, Jerry Gray receiving a plaque for being inducted in the College Football Hall of Fame, and the man, the myth, the legend, Vince Young at the game supporting his Longhorns. Back to the field, third quarter, McCoy deep pass to Mike Davis on the left side. Check out these hands, 41-yard gain. Trying to come back inside OSU territory later in the drive, Anthony Farron knocks down a 27-yard field goal, pull OSU up 28-13 in the third. Later in the third, Case McCoy picked off by Caleb Levy, returns it 23 yards to the Texas 41, setting up the next play, which would be another score for OSU. Shelf hitting Charlie Moore on the left side for the 21-yard score, which would bring OSU to the final 38-13, but we're not done yet. Case McCoy trying to bring back his Longhorns, passing down Kendall Sanders to the right side, but once again to the wrong team. Justin Gilbert, he'll be playing on Sundays, snaps it from Case McCoy there. The final would be 38-13 in Austin as the Cowboys break open the Texas losing streak.
All right, well, thanks, Corey. I guess we'll have to wait and see if the Longhorns can rest up in time for the big Thanksgiving game. Up next, Taylor has your entertainment news. Taylor, what have you got in store for us tonight?
Controversy surrounding a Thanksgiving Day float and a city transformed into a superhero's dream. Stay tuned, you're watching KVR News.
You're watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
Welcome back to KVR News. I'm Taylor Villarreal. The famous Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade has announced it's moving rocker Joan Jett and her band off of a float after complaints that she's a vegetarian. Rangers complained that Jett was to feature on the South Dakota float because she's an animal rights advocate. Jett said, "I've decided to switch from South Dakota to another float because people's political agendas were getting in the way of what should be a purely entertainment-driven event." A new performer for the float is yet to be announced. A spokesman for the parade said Macy's only intention is to provide a range of entertaining elements and performers, free of endorsements or agendas. Is Bat-Kid the best Batman ever? Oscar winner Ben Affleck certainly thinks so. The actor, who is set to star in the upcoming Batman vs. Superman movie, is referring to 5-year-old superhero Miles Scott, who spent a day fighting crime in San Francisco turned Gotham Friday. More than 11,000 volunteers showed up to cheer on Miles as he stopped the Riddler from robbing a bank, saved a damsel in distress, and shut down the Penguins' attempt to kidnap the San Francisco Giants mascot. Miles is in remission from leukemia and And the day was all part of a Make-A-Wish program. Affleck's tweets were accompanied by many other celebs sending their inspirational wishes to the young tot, including Zachary Levi, Khloe Kardashian, and even President Obama.
Way to go, Miles. Way to save Gotham.
Well, following Bat Kids' Day of Crime Fighting, San Francisco, or should I say Gotham Mayor, Ed Lee proclaimed November 15th Bat Kid Day forever. That's all your entertainment news for this week. I'm Taylor Villarreal. Thank you.
And thank you, Taylor, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Chelsea Pena.
And I'm Taylor Hampton. For news and weather updates throughout the week, you can follow us on Twitter at KVR News. Stay tuned for College Press Box up next on Texas Student Television. Have a good night.